Hello, I'm Marlon and welcome to the Empire. Come on in. I'm Marlon Alexander Brown and I'm an artist. There were two moments of inspiration that led to the establishment of the place. One was when 9/11 happened and one was when I first came into this building. I was living in Los Angeles when 9/11 happened, pursuing becoming an artist, a recording artist. But with what happened, I kind of decided to come back home and build something here in a place that I knew. And then I came across this building. I walked in when it was a shell. I came up the stairs, and as I stood at the top, it kind of hit me, the energy of the place and the thoughts of music. I initially secured a lease with the vision to create a sound studio. It has taken 21 years, and someone said recently I'm a procrastinator and a perfectionist. That's been the battle I've had along the way, and it's finished now. I don't think anyone knows the full history of the building. I am aware that it was called All Saints Church, and then after the Second World War it was part of the rag trade industry, where they were making leather, importing leather, sheepskin coats, shoes, and that ran, as far as I'm aware, up until the late 1980s. The point of inspiration for music when I first came into the building was walking into the hall. There's a silent quality which is embedded in the architecture of churches, of places of worship, and the harmonic frequency in here is pretty much perfect for recording music. So the design and the architecture and the structure and the measurements are all from God in some way, as music is. And it reminds me of the Greek teachings, which a lot of the artwork's based on or inspired by, having 7 vowels in the ancient language, which represents the notes. And in that belief, music is directly from God for our enjoyment. The pure essence of the music is fundamental, and that leads into why the piano and why a Steinway, because it's a fantastic bodied instrument, and the vibrations it gives off and the acoustic treatment of the room is all to enhance the feeling of the instrument that you feel and don't hear. So what I'm sitting on is a list of things to do, which is an artwork I painted in 2002 and took about 3 or 4 months. So it ran from one end to the other end, so it's exactly the same length as the building. And some of the elements on this have then become other artworks, including, which I've taken a little while to get around to, but that equally inspires buying the Steinway and having it here. So I'm hoping to learn that if I find the right teacher, someone with patience. The magic of it, the depth is incredible. The bank statements were inspired by Henry David Thoreau, the American philosopher who wrote Walden's Pond. It was a short piece where he lived by a pond for 2 years and built his own hut and kept a list of everything he spent, the pieces of wood, the nails, the hammer, and wrote that process and what he was witnessing around him through the seasonal changes. And that led on to me collecting the bank statements because in a similar way I was just trying to make my habitation, and you have to record everything you do for the accountants, for the government, for the taxman. So that flowed on to a whole other piece of how to build an empire. I don't know how many framed bank statements there are, but there's a few hundred. Probably led to me having a break in 2008 and going to Athens off the back of a dream. Became one of the artworks, which is inspired by The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, and another one, Hamlet's Mill, which are more to do with the position of the planet in the cosmos and the cycles we go through. In the dream, I was led into the base of a pyramid by the 7 races of humanity and shown the history of art and how they used art to manipulate people through religion. And then I stepped on a golden square, which was the Ark of the Covenant, shot through the top of the pyramid into space and screamed, I am Paletti! And that was the incarnation of the character Paletti, who I believe is my subconscious, or the artist that lives within me. And these are a series of drawings. There are 12 altogether, and one for each astrological sign. So it creates kind of mythological stories over time that in some way become our realities or religions. They tell that story of astrological changes on the clock of time. Over the years, there's been theatrical performances. Bands have written albums here, such as Noah and the Whale. Arctic Monkeys used it as a rehearsal space and a writing space and a tracking room. And then on from when we've finished the fit out, we've done full orchestral recordings for films and TV. We've done the music for Michael Bublé's Christmas album, the orchestral recordings. Taylor Swift re-recorded some of her strings here recently. A band called the Maccabees, the Sex Pistols, they've all been here. The Steinway piano is the first instrument I've bought to be here. The model I selected was the Model B. After talking to George in the Steinway shop, I wasn't too sure which one, and he played a few, thought about it and decided on the one that he'd suggested and the one I knew had the right sound. The perfectionism in its design, which I still struggle to work out how that is made and what they must have gone through to perfect that. It was always at the back of my mind whilst building it all that that would be the kind of backbone, hopefully, of what we brought in here. It's the perfect model for this room. We don't take too much commercial work, and I maintain my own creative endeavours around that, one of which is our own production of music, which we will be doing over the next year or two, recording bands, releasing music under the banner of EBC. So the Empire Broadcasting Corporation is my project, which will appear on social media at some point early 2024. The vestry house, which is attached at the north end, will be a residential element of the studio. So bands or composers or whoever can stay in the premises whilst they're working, including downstairs, which will be a future members club and showcase space.